more mechanically skill-based more than anything is Druid, who we will see later on tonight. Definitely doesn't have quite the hero pool as those two other guys have, but definitely has an advantage in that farming. But that being said, let's get into the ban and pick phase here for GankStars versus DMG.
Yeah, waiting on that ban. Will be first ban, first pick for GankStars this game. Arden will be taken out right off the bat, and the Sky Hover may be wise considering Iraqi Zoro's performance in that last game. Probably not going to be a Taka ban.
Yeah.
Not at this stage.
A Sky ban would be interesting as well because, of course, first pick going over to GankStars. Will they pick it up? No. It's going to be Adagio picked up instead.
So I'm wondering if we're just going to see this Rona composition again, favoring that Adagio. It did go into lane last time, but it should be noted that last season Gabe Bizzle played a whole ton of Adagio. So we do know that he's very good on that particular pick.
I wouldn't be surprised if GankStars shows us something new tonight. You know, what you said, definitely granted. They could be going for this Rona pick as well, but this leaves DMG in an interesting spot because they have to think, you know, are they going to go for that composition, or should we just go for our own two picks here? Koshka Fortress, one of the strongest and most aggressive couples in the jungle. It looks like that's what they are going to pick up.
Yeah, mixing it up last time, they did have Koshka with Catherine, but it's all about that early invasion synergy between Koshka and Fortress. You get that speed boost. You can close gaps with the combination incredibly quickly because of the move speed buff and the pounce coming in from Koshka. So really lends itself to a strong early game, and it will be the Adagio-Rona combination locked in again. So it looks like we're going to see again the same thing that we saw in week one. Question is,
who's going to be the roam here? Because it cannot be Arden. It looks like they're going to pick up the Catherine instead. So not going to be able to give that speed boost to Rona as they did in the first game up against Phobia when they did show this composition. But going to give it a little bit more control over the team fights instead. You get a stun in there and a big silence.
Yeah, also, I mean, it's just about that damage from Rona because you do get the extra auto attack damage from the Adagio, and it will be Ringo locked in. So pretty standard composition here. Ringo combined with Koshka and Fortress. Very early game focus for the most part. So we'll see how much DMG can do here right off the bat to shut down some of the scaling that's going to be coming through from a very scary Rona in the late game. We are going to go into our first game of the night. Group A will start right now. Last game of the group stage for DMG and GankStars. Absolutely nothing but pride on the line. GankStars already confirmed in first place of Group A. DMG will be going home after this match. So GankStars not going to show anything new, and DMG playing with that powerful early game composition.
Yeah, I definitely like what GankStars has brought out here. Rona's going to be able to deal very nicely with this kind of composition with the Fortress and the Koshka. They want to be in your face, but so does Rona. So as long as you can pick up a reflex block, avoid the Yummy Catnip Frenzy and the stuns out of Koshka, you should be quite fine in those team fights. You have a Catherine to back you up and stun anyone who's going to be putting on a huge amount of aggression and damage onto yourself. And you're also going to have that sustain with your ultimate.
And there's the stun coming in from Catherine. A little bit of damage, but nothing much. You can see that GankStars know that there's going to be some jungle invading early here. You already see DMG just floating around the neutral shop and seeing if they can take any camps, and they're going to get a scout trap immediately. Gabe Bizzle going to take a little damage. He's going to get revealed, actually. Has to get out. Speed boost from his Merciless Pursuit not going to be enough, and he will be falling for the first kill of the game in favor of DMG.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a mistake to just go ahead and face check those brushes here.
You
know what is going on. And look at this, Koldemeek also going to just be leisurely farming in his backs, but you can't exactly do that against these two. With Koshka and Fortress, they're definitely, especially after getting a kill, you have to back off.
Godfather getting a little bit under fire, though. That's going to be an easy kill for Koldemeek. And, you know, GankStars, they started out this game camping that mid lane just because they didn't want to actually provide any opportunities for DMG to fight and skirmish early with the Fortress Koshka combo. But then a little bit of sloppy play. And this is usually the answer. that you see, but Coldemik get a bit of trouble here. Flank coming in from DMG. Dead Doll and MX just going to catch him out, and into the fray over the wall. Can he actually get out of this one? Pounce is going to come back up off cooldown very shortly, 6 seconds, and he's going to just try and get into the turret.
Yeah, well, just going to, waste as much time here from the Koshka and the Fortress. Delay as much as possible. He also got both of those back minions there. So, not losing too much, I feel. Trading pretty evenly there.
Yeah, a little bit of a gold lead opening up here for DMG. You can see that 14-9 in terms of the farm so far for Coldemik up against MX. And they're coming in again. Coldemik trying to back off right now, and there's a lot of damage going down. We do see Koshka going to come in, and that's not going to be enough. They do get Coldemik. GankVizzle should be able to get him to the turret. How far do they want to pursue this? But this is how you have to play this Fortress Koshka combo. You have to play very aggressively early. And somehow, some way, Godfather 1v1s GankVizzle in the lane.
Yeah, taking out Iraqi Zoro there, actually. Let's take a look at the replay. Yeah, Iraqi Zoro just a little bit too far forward here, taking damage from the minions, and then he gets slowed by Arango, and you're not going to get away from this.
Yeah, twirling silver right there, so wishing to get his advantage a little bit far forward there, and that's going to turn a kill back around to Godfather after he died to that gank just a little bit earlier in the game.
Generally Godfather is one of the most risky laners, loves to get up in the face of his opponent and risk, getting ganked in turn for trading better in the lane instead, and sometimes he does get punished for that. Kind of surprised to see Iraqi Zoro get jumped on there. Not really like Iraqi Zoro, but look at this.
And there we go again. GankVizzle just getting in front of Godfather, but MX comes in from behind on the counter gank. They're going to try and dive GankVizzle right now. Very low. There's going to be a kill for Fortress, so Dead Doll getting one. Coldemik getting some damage down, but into the fray, not quite enough to take him out. And that's going to be another 2 kills for DMG. They're really starting to get rolling here, and the scary thing is Koshka hasn't even hit 6 yet.
Yeah, this is very unlike GankStars. I'm surprised they're being rolled over this easily. I mean, this is something you can definitely expect when you are dealing with this kind of composition, but I feel like this is the first time I've seen GankVizzle pick up some scout traps. They needed that early on to see exactly where and what angle these two were coming in from the jungle. And he's only able to pick them up now, which is, I guess they're going to come back and rethink this and say, hey, we need to be a bit more passive. We got to gank a little bit more. We have to get some scout traps down. We need vision to stop Koshka and Fortress getting into our back line.
Yeah, and meanwhile, DMG just has a ton of information. They planted a whole bunch of scout traps in the GankStars side of the jungle. You can see flares going down. They know exactly where GankVizzle is. And it seems like DMG knows that the only chance they have is to try and play around Godfather. There's the stun coming in into the fray right there. Godfather going to reflex block it, though. There's the ultimate onto Iraqi Zoro already from Koshka. There's a big ult from Rona, though. How far are they going to dive this? Looks like it will be a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Rona got a nice multi-person ult off, and another hero dies.
Huh.
I don't know what that was, actually.
Looks like Koshka went down somewhere.
Yeah, Koshka went down underneath the turret, but that looks like a delayed notification there. That's all that was. Meanwhile, DMG now going to use this opportunity to try and take the gold mine. It's getting low. GankVizzle wants to try for a steal. Does get the stun. Early stun, however, and who's going to get it? Fortress picks it up, so Dead Doll gets the gold payout, and they move to about 1,800 gold in the lead.
Yeah, that was a really important pickup there. Very risky. Fortress is very low, but let's take a look at this fight here. They do jump onto Godfather and get some damage down, but a really nice Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and they choose the target as Iraqi Zoro, in fact. They wanted to take out the Adagio very, very early on, knowing that, this early on in the game, I guess Rona is just not going to do that much damage overall.
Yeah, I like the pretty early reflex block pickup on Godfather, too. He's really making that item work, and I don't think GankStars really anticipated him having that, because they did go for a bit of an all-in there on the gank. Here we go. Max just going to clear out the scout trap in front of the gold mine. 3 men moving down to buy right now, and GankStars not doing much. Lane pushed all the way to DMG's turret, and they're just going to sit here and freeze it. Slowly farming and denying GankStars as much as they possibly can.
Yeah. Koshka so quickly getting the cooldown back on her ultimate, and they're going to be ready to fight here in just 8 seconds. And Araki Zora, I kind of worry about him. He picked up his Shatterglass, but he is the obvious target for this Koshka ultimate, and he still is very far away from picking up a reflex block. He's at 200 gold right now, and still doesn't have anything in terms of going towards that reflex block. So definitely needs to pick that up ASAP in order to deal with this Koshka.
Well, it also seems like they kind of abandoned at least fighting early with this. We see Cold stacking a whole bunch of shield and armor just to survive right now, knowing that as long as they can just slowly farm this game out, they do have a possibility here of a comeback.
Yeah, and you're exactly right there. They actually sit back and play very passively, farm up 700 gold for Araki in the lane, get that reflex block, and maybe now they'll consider fighting. Let's see.
Yeah, Godfather 2 gets the tension bow, so they're a little bit all in right here. Sometimes we see with the Koshka Fortress combo, the Ringo deciding to go for a more late game item instead, like a Sorrow Blade, and not trying to all in, but it's like DMG really wants to hit hard right now. And they're going to keep invading. Scout Trap will see him out. Cold just gets out of dodge immediately.
Saving that into the fray just to escape here. It looks like they want to jump onto Godfather here, though.
Yeah, they're going to catch Godfather, but there we see the Koshka ult going down onto Cold, but he's got a lot of defensive stats already. Ringo ultimate also down onto Cull, and that was really the wrong target right now. They trade 1 for 1. And Araki Zoro, GankStars trying to get out of this. More stuns coming through onto Dead Doll. Araki Zoro trying to kite, and Godfather going to pick up another. Meanwhile, GankStars still at full HP, drops a Scout Trap right there. Could it be an ace? Godfather still getting him quite low. 1 second till Rona, so it won't be an ace. GankStars going to dodge this. The Merciless Pursuit, and going to trigger 2 Scout Traps and not get hit by the damage. Dead Doll coming around now. There's another one, trying to use his A ability to dance quite fancily around this, and he actually may live. Rona.
Oh, looks like he will. Actually, getting it looks like a health potion cooldown back up there. It looked like Dead Doll ran to the shop and sold and rebought his boots in order to try to chase down Catherine. Fortunately, it did not work, but it was kind of a cool idea after all. But at the end of it all, I mean, DMG definitely coming ahead in that fight. As you mentioned before, definitely the wrong target in terms of using that ultimate from Koshka onto Rona, as she is so tanky.
She's just been building straight up defensive items.
She doesn't even really do that much damage, only now picking up a heavy steel, but kind of interesting that they still lost the fight. I feel like Araki Zoro is still just too vulnerable in the back there. And it looks like, even so, GankStars still going to get aggressive here and try to take a fight.
Yeah, have a flare in that brush, so they're going to come again. Who are they going to go for? Godfather, the immediate target. Cold going to go in immediately. Godfather already low, turning on to MX right now. They have the target selected. Now finally Dead Doll gets in. Scout Trap's already dropped in the middle of the fight. And they just back off after getting some nice chunks. They want the gold miner immediately. How much are they willing to commit to this? Dead Doll coming in again. Minion Candy on the gold miner. They're taking a lot of damage. More Scout Traps going through. Big silence. Nice Catherine ult. 3-man hit. And Rona's just going to destroy them with the ultimate. Great play from GankStars. They really took advantage of the fact that the members of DMG were split up, taking the 3v2. Bold plays from GankStars.
That was pretty unbelievable. They pick up the immense gold payout as well. Wait, did that actually go to DMG? Because it was 300 and then 1 gold went over to GankStars. I think they actually missed the 300 gold payout.
Yeah, they may have just missed it right there. We'll check it in this replay, but what a great team fight. 3-man Catherine ult.
The silence, man. And then they all group up.
Oh my, they group up right after that, after being chunked down. We'll take a look at this gold miner. Looks like it... I think you're right.
Can't tell. I mean, it showed 2 payouts, so you have to assume that it was 300 and then 1 went over to GankStars, because it's not like it reset with the Kraken. It's still too early on in the game.
Right. Also, the gold differential would have closed by more, considering the DMG still up.
So after all, even though everyone from DMG went down, definitely a worth it hold.
Yeah. Anyway, Dead Doll getting jumped on right now. Already dead and a doll. So there you go. A bit of a desperate play there from DMG, and it's like their power is waning, and that's the trouble with this composition sometimes. You have to take such an enormous early advantage, but the itemization around the Rona really bamboozled them in that one team fight. and allowed at least GankStars to go somewhat even until they could hit their later game power spike.
The other part of this as well is that both Rona and Adagio, Rocky and Kaldameek on those heroes, picking up a couple infusions right before that fight. It looks like GankStars knew that they had this power spike, you know, as Adagio picks up a couple of his items, gets that reflex block, and they just went for it right there. Right before the gold mine, they were trying to get the fight and then the gold mine, but they just barely missed it.
Yeah, I mean, to start that fight off, though, it was really the fact that this is what we've seen from DMG, is that sometimes they lack coordination. Dead Doll was not with the rest of his team, and Godfather and MX took a huge amount of damage before that gold mine fight even began. So this wasn't quite there, and a really good shot call and a really good collapse there from GankStars onto the two members in order to swing the momentum back in their direction. Still down in gold, but certainly controlling the pace of the game.
And look at this, a metal jacket now picked up after an Aegis, and he still has no real offensive stats here for the Rona outside of that heavy steel.
Yeah, they're just going to go for the turret too. Not enough defense there. Virtually no wave clear either. There's the ultimate coming down. They're going to get onto the Catherine, though. Interesting target. Now they're all going to be chunked out. There's a nice stun coming into on the wave. Double stun. Rona now going to use that ultimate spinning. It's not going to be enough damage, though. Rocky Zoro trying to kite this. Rona's going to have to go back in, but there's a kill. It's going to be an ace for DMG. Bit of an overcommitment to the turret, and that's going to cost him.
Yeah, that's a huge overcommitment there. I was thinking it was a mistake with the Koshka ultimate onto Catherine, but they were just locking her down before she could get her ultimate off, and that's really what turned the tides there. They'd made it into a 3-on-2 so early just because of a tiny misstep too far forward there by the Catherine, and they turned that into an ace as well as a gold mine and a turret here, so that is a huge advantage now going to DMG.
Yeah, they've expanded that gold lead to 4,000, so this is something they can really take advantage of as they sweep through the GankStars jungle. And, you know, realistically, GankStars right there, they just needed to be patient, buy some time, make sure the gold miner went their way, and just play for that late game scenario. And now they find themselves in a deeper hole. Bit of a risk, and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with you there. I think you want to wait until Rona gets up to, you know, maybe 2-3 items before you're forcing fights like this. Maybe they saw an opportunity, as I think it was Ringo who was not around the turret, but they just stayed a couple seconds too early, and that's all it takes, one mistake, to turn into a huge gold advantage. So now we do see GankStars all grouped up looking for a fight, but very passive play now out of DMG.
GankStars needs to move this wave forward at the moment. Question is, are they going to go for this gold miner before the 15-minute mark? And we see a replay of this fight right now, starting with that Koshka ultimate.
Yeah. No Catherine ult comes out. The ultimate does come out of Rocky Zoro. It hits both Dead Doll and MX, but not all that much damage came out. Kaldameek was also quite low at this point at about half health, and once Adagio went down, it was just too much damage.
Yeah, good capitalization, use of the turret right there from DMG. Fighting as a unit, Godfather quite safe behind his front line. And GankStars slowly moving this forward. They want to get that catch, stun onto Fortress. And Kaldameek going to take quite a bit, though. There's the ultimate going down. Kaldameek already falls. There's the Adagio ult. It will stun a couple, but that's not going to be enough. Rocky Zoro in a heap of trouble, and he is going to go down. No ace. Gabe Vizzle peels off to the side to recall, but Kraken is up. And this is a rough spot for GankStars, again pushing forward and exposing themselves to DMG.
This is a sense of lack of coordination now out of GankStars that I don't believe I've seen since like the Invitational. This is quite surprising for me. They go for the stun onto Fortress. The damage from Rona goes out onto Koshka, which I think was the original target. But a bit of miscommunication. Rona steps again just slightly too far forward, and they immediately jump onto her. She gets no damage output before she goes down. And then again, this is only a 3-on-3 game. It's not like it's 5-on-5 and you can lose one person and it's maybe you can come back 4-on-5. You lose one person, you're losing a huge chunk of your damage, especially with this composition that relies heavily on Rona to be in those fights doing the damage.
Yeah, definitely super reliant on Rona here as the central carry of this composition, because you really want that Adagio to be buffing up the Rona damage more than anything else. And Scout Trap Wars happening in the Tri-Brush on the GankStar side. Godfather right in front. Kaldameek going to jump onto him. There's a stun, and we'll see how Godfather can survive after this. And Rocky Zoro pursuing him. Godfather trying to kite with that Twirling Silver. Kaldameek going on a rampage. No, they are going to get him. And here comes Koldomik. They traded 1-for-1 so far, but DMG very, very low at this point in time, but not a lot of damage. DMG going to turn around. They have that Koshka. They have the damage. There's the Fortress ult coming out, and now we see the fall. GameVizzle, is he going to pick up the last two? He will. He gets them, and that is very reminiscent of last week's performance from GameVizzle. As a reminder, on a roam, last week he went 7-2-5 on Fortress. Yep. So he can
that
pick up
bloodthirsty support now.
he can pick up these kills. He can pick up these kills, that's for sure.
Yeah, a really nice team fight there from GankStars that time around. Rona getting a huge amount of damage output onto Ringo before that fight even really got underway. And that's exactly what they want. You could really see the amount of damage output as well that comes out of Rona without even that many damage items at all. She picked up another, big armor item here as well, and still is able to chunk Godfather down to about half health with about 2 swings and maybe an auto attack from Adagio.
Well, that's the advantage of the extra item you get too. I mean, Koldomik just running through right there to pick up Godfather. Does take a lot of life, as we do see some nice kiting. Rocky Zoro gets very far forward into Koshka's range right here, and you can see it's really difficult to kite against that Koshka Fortress combo.
Yeah, you just can't, essentially, and that's one of the weaknesses here. When you have only Adagio and Catherine left over, as we said before, very reliant on that Rona to stay alive. She did her job, though, essentially, pretty early on here. So, still cracking up, and it looks like GankStars wants to take a fight.
And there's a bit of a face check there by GameVizzle. Big Catherine ult coming in. Koldomik finds his way to the back line, and he's going to get Godfather immediately. Pursuit still ongoing. Warhorn used by Dead Doll, and MX going to get stunned, going to get picked off, and here comes Rona. There we go, getting the damage done. Who needs damage items? Well, completed damage items, we'll say.
Yeah. But again, a very, really nice engage and initiate there from GameVizzle. He started that off entirely. He ran into the bush alone, got a 3-man silence, and then Rona with the follow-up, just able to clean up everyone there.
Yeah, GankStars look like they're just going to take another turret before backing out. Still 3 seconds left onto Godfather, but they're not going to take any risk. Here we go. Everybody is going to be moving right over to that Kraken. I think they could take it. See how much time they have. MX just spawned.
And let's see what DMG wants to do in response here. They actually do have a scout trap in that tri-brush to the left of the Kraken and one right underneath the Kraken. So they know exactly where GankStars is. They know they haven't started the Kraken. They can be very patient with how they engage this next fight.
There we go, activating the Kraken, another fight right here, and we see 2 ultimates coming out from DMG. Koldomik is all over Godfather, does get slowed up though. Now he's isolated on the side. MX trying to deal with him. Ringo ult gonna hit Cole. Can he actually get a kill here? Godfather doing some nice kiting work, and they are going to... Oh, Koldomik finds his way to the back line. There's a good ultimate coming in from Rocky Zoro, and here we go, Koldomik into the fray, and he has been a monster. Peeled off on the side right there. That is going to be the game. GankStars will take this one with fewer kills than their opponents in DMG. A little bit sloppy, very back and forth, but GankStars finds a way back into it. No Kraken taken at the end of this one, but it's a 20-minute win for our American defending champions.
Really fantastic control towards the end of that game. GankStars